Welcome back to another Advanced Wars by Web replay review. In Advanced Wars by Web, there are several moves you can make that show your opponent and the spectators that you are indeed a Gigachad. One such move is picking Grim, another is building a missile truck, another is building a pipe runner, and one Gigachad move is to pick Javier on a map with contested comm towers. That is the ultimate Gigachad move. Why is that? Because Javier relies on the comm towers. Take a gander at his abilities. Units gain 20% defense against indirect units. Okay, that's a solid ability, but that's not what makes Javier good. What makes Javier good is this. Each comm tower grants all units an additional 10% defense. So Javier with one comm tower turns into a Von Bolt with a little bit of extra indirect defense. Javier's normal power, Tower Shield, doubles all of those bonuses, and Tower of Power triples them. So if the power is popped and Javier's got units on cities with that increased defense, and then has a comm tower, then they're basically immune to indirect fire with all those defense bonuses stacking up. Now, if Javier managed to get both comm towers, Javier will have 20% extra attack and defense, and it's just super busted. But Javier is going up against a really tough opponent today, Sammy. Foot soldiers gain 30% attack and 50% capture point bonus. So Sammy will have easy time capturing these contested cities and comm towers and make things difficult for Javier. But however, other direct units of Sammy's lose 10% attack, transports gain +1 movement. Sammy's normal power double time increases foot soldier movement by 1, increases their attack, and Victory March increases their movement by 2, increases their attack even further, and allows them to capture any building instantly regardless of the unit's HP, just like that. So a really tough matchup. Now, a small note about this map, Cold Flame, is that we talked about Javier being a Gigachad for these comm towers being contested, but they're not truly contested long term. Why is that? Well, this over here on the left is Blue's strong side. You got two bases, and this is just an infantry and mech base because it's surrounded by mountains. You don't want to build a tank here and realize it can't go anywhere and be forced to delete it. I've seen that happen. It happens to the best of us. And you have the airport. So two bases in the airport versus this base and this kind of centralized airport. The centralized airport can go any which way it wants. So it's like kind of two bases in an airport versus a base in half of an airport. And then obviously over here it's mirrored. This is red strong side, the two bases and the airport versus the base and the half of the airport. You have these exposed HQs. So as soon as Sammy saw this map, she started licking her chops and doing the little evil fingers because she likes exposed HQs for her victory march. So without further ado, I said the comm towers are not truly contested long term, right? Because the strong side will get the comm tower eventually. So Sammy's goal is to deny the comm towers as long as possible, and Javier's goal is to maybe be able to sneak both comm towers in early, which is going to be really hard because Sammy's got that infantry advantage, and get that 20-20, and then if Javier gets both comm towers, it is wraps. It is basically game over at that point. So let's get right into the sweet action here. As Javier moves up, everyone goes for their contested bases, and Sammy next turn over here is going to just do something very bold. Just put the infantry right on the city, capturing it, and this is guaranteed to go through because Javier can only knock this thing down to a 6, but with that 1.5x capture point bonus, you need to knock Sammy's infantry down to 3 HP in order to successfully interrupt a cap. So Sammy will have this city guaranteed, but when you take another turn to capture this, Javier will be able to get an extra shot. So there are trade-offs of being very aggressive like that, but takes the shot. But as long as Javier doesn't get a comm tower, Sammy will have the advantage. She is just stronger, and Javier will not have any bonuses besides that indirect defense until he captures a comm tower. And Sammy over here going right in on this comm tower. This one's guaranteed as well. So Javier is already starting down one comm tower. But then we have the recon from Javier. It's going to get bogged down in the plains early, but when it gets here with all the buildings and the roads, it's going to just start mowing down Sammy's infantry, and recons are often really good against Sammy for that exact reason. They counter her infantry, they counter her mechs, but you got to be careful because if a mech shoots at a recon first, it's getting obliterated, and you don't want that. And goes in, takes out the infantry on the city, but it will give up a city shot that Sammy would have take right back in. But the beautiful thing about this map, which is Cold Flame, I think I said that earlier, is that you just see a lot of brawling really early. It's day 5 and we are done messing around. You know, we're not just like capturing, setting up our army, you know, tiptoesing around the battlefield. We are in the thick of the action. Just bang. Oh, I was about to say we were in the thick of the action, just banging it out, and then my brain went straight to the gutter. So now that I said, I was about to say that, but I decided not to, but said it anyway. I make it sound a little bit better. But these armies are just clashing in the center of the strong and weak sides, respectively. This center. So I should also say this. This center doesn't really come under a lot of fire until like the mid to late game. Usually you want to, you know, you're fighting here a lot, and while there are many juicy neutral cities and the HQs in the center, you don't really want to fight there too early because you'll lose the battle on the side, right? But the other thing is, if this base and this base both get flipped, the battle turns from like horizontal battle lines to vertical ones, where blue will have the left side of the board and red will have the right side of the board, and then we will have a fight over the HQs. And that's kind of how the game evolves. But okay, going in and takes out the 1 HP infantry on the city, and great positioning over here from Javier with this 3 HP penguin. And this is like a small, subtle positioning detail, but it goes a long way. By putting this 3 HP here, it's forcing this infantry to take a suboptimal engagement. So what do I mean? Well, this infantry can take out the 3, but in order to do that, this infantry must vacate the premises over here. And this infantry wants to go on this city and shoot the 7 or the 8, but it cannot do that because it has to go around the 3's just fat penguin booty right there. So it has to go from the plains to shoot the 7 and not occupy the city. So great positioning over here with Javier. You know, it's a very small thing. It's not going to win or lose the game or anything like that, but it is a very nice play, and it's definitely something I could learn from because my unit positioning needs work. And now going in, knocking this infantry down to 1, so the cap is successfully interrupted, and another recon. And weak side recons are really strong because this nice stretch of road right here, this thing reaches all the way to the silo. Now, back to Sammy. Sammy goes in, and good damage on the infantry, gets it down to 3, and reinforces, starts capturing some of these outside cities. But Sammy, not going for the airport, whereas Javier is going to get this and then go for the airport. So we'll see if Sammy ends up capturing that airport soon. We have an artillery. All right, building an artillery against a commander with 20% indirect defense is a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. But at the same time, artillery are very good on this map. You can hide artillery behind these mountains and just start annihilating that base there. And that 20% indirect defense, like, it's strong, but it's not like gonna change the game or anything. So let's say this artillery decides to shoot at this recon on the base, for example. It's doing still 4 damage, and if it's not Javier, it's doing 6 damage. So it's, you know, it's not like all Javier's units are immune to artillery. Now during power though, things are a different story. So let's go back to Javier for a second. Where is that guy? Am I just blind? There he is. Okay. Alright, Javier during power, I mean, it's basically is invincible. And if Javier's got a comm tower, yeah, it is artillery doing 0 damage. But it's also, you have to think about the terrain during the power. If it's on a road, it does still do damage even during power with the comm tower. So, just something to keep in mind. And Javier kind of regroups, just keeps fighting over this middle, takes out the infantry right there, but giving up a city shot. Obviously, long-term, Sammy's going to win this, as Sammy's pumping out double the units that Javier is, but Javier's trying to delay the inevitable, and trying to get that comm tower too. The artillery can also defend the comm tower, which is huge. I mean, if Javier gets the weak side comm tower and the strong side comm tower, the game is over. It is over. That 20 stats are just too good. Alright, going in. Not the best engagement right there, but weakening Sammy's infantry, starting this cap. This infantry finishes it off, and there's some mechs hitting the field. Mechs are strong on this map because they can just hop over the mountains, and that's another reason why Sammy is good on this map. Mechs just hawk. The mechs hawk Tua over the mountains and are right into the thick of the action, and can start blasting with that 30% extra attack. Takes out infantry right there, and this infantry blocks for the artillery. Okay, join caps on the comm tower. Javier's making a play for it, but does not have the reinforcements, unfortunately, over here, so this comm tower is not going to get held. Infantry does get shot, knocked down to 5 HP. Grabs the city and goes in on this infantry, can't quite take it out, and this guy's not taking the... Oh, wait, I don't think he was in range, actually. Nope, he wasn't. So, going over here, maybe trying to get this, like, side city pretty early. We'll see. We'll see what Javier's got cooking up here. But yeah, this is not going to go through. Knocks that thing down to 5 and knocks it down to 1. And now the artillery is going to bombard the infantry over here. So Sammy has successfully defended the comm tower. The game is still alive. Javier did not get the instant win. And we have even more mechs. Alright, day 8. Time for Javier to make a play. Recon, free shot on the artillery. And this is more damage than I thought. Turns out recons can really mess up artilleries. 4 damage on the artillery, and the recon is completely safe from this artillery. So maybe the second artillery build was a bit too much. Maybe a tank would have been good. I mean, Sammy still has some extra funds. I guess that was 2 turns ago, right? But I think a tank would have been good. It's only 1,000 more funds, and then you can counter the recon, and also, you know, your whole army isn't going to get shut down when that power gets popped and that indirect defense doubles. Takes out the infantry on the city, and going in on some mechs and not taking some... These are suboptimal engagements, but this is just a distraction to be able to put the infantry on the comm tower, and Javier breathes a huge sigh of relief through his mustache as he's now started the comm tower, and it is almost unstoppable, and the recon actually is going to take a shot here as well, knocking that infantry down to 1 HP. It will get healed back up to 3, but... good damage there, and I don't know if there's a good way for Sammy to really contest this comm tower. Sammy can move this guy out of the way. Well, no, because you need this. Yeah, so the only way for Sammy to get a shot at the guy in the comm tower would be 7 HP mech takes out this guy. Full HP mech interrupts the capture, takes out and goes here, takes out this guy, and then 3 HP interrupts, which I think with the extra attack would do enough to at least do 1 damage. Yeah, it does 1 damage, knocks his infantry down to 9, and delays the comm tower for another turn. However, that might just be too much opportunity cost for Sammy, as both mechs will get blasted by the infantry remaining and the recon, and Sammy's got 1 mech reinforcement, but long-term Javier is getting that comm tower anyway, so it might be better for Sammy to just sit back, takes a shot over there to open up the city for the mech, and blasts the recon. A 7 HP mech knocks that recon down to 2. Finishes off that infantry and just finishes the cap. So decides to give Javier the comm tower. Javier will now have 10% attack and defense for the rest of the game, but Sammy didn't overinvest, and it still has a good, strong presence on the weak side. Got both of these cities, which is kind of like the next step. You fight over these, and you fight over these. It's like you're slowly losing territory. It's like a zombie apocalypse, you know, like units just keep coming, and you just keep like backing them down, or like, you know, keep taking them down, but then you have to keep backing up as the overwhelming numbers of zombies like push you down. You get the point. That was like a really bad analogy, but you know what? We move on. The train has left the station, and we move on. So Javier gets the comm tower and now goes in with renewed vigor, able to take out an infantry. Tank comes in as well, and Sammy had to back off over here. So both sides getting stalled on their strong side, and Javier goes for the airport. Meanwhile, Sammy not even close to her airport. And I think, I don't know, I understand, like, you have these, you're fighting a lot here, but I think you need to send an infantry over to get this airport. This is huge. It's a nice production facility that can go towards either side of the board and the middle. And being able to pump out copters like that, huge. Alright, Javier is doing nice damage on the mech. Recon goes back to get healed, and there's an artillery from Javier. Javier is going to taunt Sammy by saying, oh, you don't have indirect defense, so I'm going to just start spamming artillery and just start blasting your base. And there's a second artillery as Javier smiles even further devilishly behind his thick mustache. takes out an infantry there, and another infantry takeout. And Sammy just kind of regroups over here, just trying to play defensive, hold on to this city and this city for as long as possible. Sammy takes some more cities, and Sammy's up 3 cities right now. Alright, artillery pointed at the recon on the comm tower, and there's no way to actually destroy this infantry. You're not going to be able to do enough damage with any of these units to be able to get to the artillery. However, this artillery is looking pretty vulnerable, right? Any of these units can take out this 3, and then I think the tank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can go in and smack that artillery, and that's going to be a goner right there. The problem for that is that it's right in base range, and you have this tank here, so you're retreating a tank for a 6 HP artillery, and it's in this artillery's range, so not really worth it for Javier to push in. And that's why, like, these strong and weak side dynamic, like, you just cannot keep fighting over here forever. You have to cede ground, or else you're just going to get wiped off the board. Because Javier just does not have the unit presence to fight into this. As much as, like, this positioning from Sammy is, you know, a little bit sketch where the artillery's can get hit, it doesn't even matter because Sammy's got too many units and a copter to boot. Javier going for some back caps. And going in for this cap has a nice artillery protection, so we'll see if Sammy tries to delay that. And Javier retreats as well. Keep saying artillery. Mr. Artillery himself, Javier. Actually, Grit is Mr. Artillery, but it's weird. Sometimes I get artillery and anti-air mixed up in my head, you know? But right now I'm getting artillery and Javier mixed up. Just the weirdest mental block, you know? It was like, as a kid, I always got the words marshmallow and mushroom mixed up in my head because I have this weird mental block with multi-syllable words beginning with M, I guess. Anyway. Oh, knocks that recon down to 1 HP, and everything else just shuffles around over here. And back to Javier. What kind of magic can he make happen? Goes in, takes out the mech. Everything else just moves away. Tank, nice shot, 8-4, and it's out of artillery range, but this tank is covering, so Sam will probably just swap out and keep fighting. Going for the takeout there on the infantry, and takes a shot, knocks that artillery down to 9. But Javier's units are unfortunately going to get cleared out here. This copter is still dangerous, but we have an anti-air to counter. And we have a tower shield possibly coming in, which would increase Javier's stats to 20%. And goes in over here with the artillery wall, just slowly pushing on Sammy's base. Back to Sammy. What can Sammy cook up here? Artilleries take a shot, and oh my gosh, look at this. 6 HP artillery only does 2 damage to this infantry on a comm tower, thanks to Javier's extra indirect defense and the extra defense from having the comm tower. Just absolutely bonkers. Like, things just are not dying. Knocks 5 damage off the recon there. Tank able to finish it off, so not going for that tank shot, but we have a nice little tank chain there, so Sammy doesn't really have to. Now goes in on that infantry, clears it off the comm tower. Oops. Clears it off the comm tower. This infantry, good damage there. Copter just has to play passive as it's afraid of that anti-air right there. And takes out that 3 HP penguin. Back to Javier. Javier's got that power coming in, so we'll see if Javier pops it. And unfortunately, this is just a Mang's infantry. This infantry is just free. It has no support, just completely stranded. And the copter can hit, this infantry can hit, so that is a guaranteed KO. That cap is not going through. Bang. Now, maybe Sammy's trying to make the argument that, oh, if the copter's going over here, it's not going over here and assisting with the weak side. But it doesn't really have to because the anti-air is already there to counter the copter. So Javier's just, you know, gonna pick that up. And now there's no reinforcements over here, so Javier can start converting some of Sammy's cities. Javier was close to the airport last turn, but was scared of this guy, and this guy able to take it out. So smart decision by Javier to get this guaranteed city. Now without a double time power, because this infantry cannot reach, oops, this city is safe, right? And I keep fat fingering the right mouse button. A big problem. That's why I got to go back to slamming the keyboard. Now going in, and the artillery and infantry combine to take out some infantry, and now starting the cap as well. And Sammy built no vehicles out of this base, just infantry and mechs. That's all she needs. She is the foot soldier commander. And there's the tower shield. Now with those extra stats, just fearless. Takes a good engagement with that 8 HP tank on a 10 HP tank. And even the anti-air getting bold and over here and knocks that artillery down to 4 HP. And now these artilleries are doing nothing to this anti-air. Not a thing. Alright, going in on some infantry, going for some caps. Got to get that airport finally. And copter moves up. Or that's a T-copter, actually. Sammy likes T-copter. She gets extra +1 movement on the T-copters. And not only that, T-copters can transport mechs and infantry right into spaces where they're going to be good with her victory march or with their extra capture point bonus and the extra mech firepower. You can, build T-copters and APCs and just put these mechs on the front lines where they're just major threats to enemy tanks. Now, all of these units try to take out this anti-air, but they can't. 3 tanks knock it only down to 4, knocks that tank down 2 HP, but thanks to Javier's extra defense, this anti-air is invincible. It's at 3 HP. It still survives. There's no backup anti-air from Javier, so that 3 HP anti-air, not too much of a problem for Sammy. Alright, so Javier clears the infantry off of the city, parks the tank on it, and takes a shot. Anti-air knocks this tank down to 1 HP, and Recon takes a shot as well. Now this copter comes in, hits the pipe seam, which this pipe seam is kind of a double-edged sword, because you can build stuff out of the base and then go this way, right? But the problem is, number one, once this base gets flipped, that's really good for red if the pipe seam's already broken, because now red can just reinforce this way towards the middle where they're going to be fighting a lot easier. And also, red can, before the base gets flipped, red can kind of go around this way and now use this extra space to kind of pincer strike the base and hit it from multiple sides. But it would allow Javier to get units out this way instead of having to go all the way around the mountain range. You get bogged down on this highway right here. And there's the anti-air. Anti-air covers the copter, so giving up a copter shot, but the anti-air will be able to trade out. So, good job there. And now going in on these two. Sammy's got to be careful about her HQ right there. And going in on some mechs. Artillery move up as well. And this copter moves up. Just fearless right in Sammy's lines. But the airport's getting flipped. And the anti-air is probably going to go over and cover it. But you got to make sure you're covering that HQ. You can't let Javier just have a free HQ cap. The anti-air is not going over here. Uh-oh, this copter can do some damage to Sammy's backline. We'll see. There's the shot. It does give up this shot, though. So Sammy might have to put some tanks forward to trade off that anti-air once it trades off that copter that Sammy went in with. And trades off the tank, takes out an infantry, and the only thing left over here, tank, recon, anti-air, and 4 HP copter. And this anti-air is going to go, and I see anti-air and anti-air interchangeably, but it's anti-air. That's my opinion. Okay, recon goes down. And mech, can't quite take out the recon. Recon survives at 1 HP, doing some damage to Javier's infantry. Just builds another infantry, just not going to overinvest over here on the weak side. Bunch of the caps go through. Sammy is down 1 city to Javier, and now down 3 cities after this city gets flipped. Down 4 cities after this one gets flipped. Javier takes out a bunch of infantry with the artillery. Starts bringing him closer and takes out the mech. Copter goes in, free shot on this airport infantry and takes it out. But no way to block the airport yet, unfortunately. So Sammy can just build, and the victory march has officially come online. And we'll see if Sammy will use it. But there's the tower shield taking out the anti-air, and we've got the can base stats again. Copter does good damage to the T-copter. And there's the medium tank. Javier is determined to hold on to the base. The medium tank is vulnerable to the artilleries moving up, but these artilleries took a bit of damage, and the mechs aren't going to do anything to this. So we'll see. Sammy might have to hold on to that victory march, because there's not really anything Sammy can do to really get with it, right? Can get, let's see, you get this one. Can't get the airport, you're too far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can get that, you can get that, and you can get that. You're already getting this. So their victory march, 4 cities. I recall watching a Degis video where he said the sweet number you want to get with victory march is at least 6 cities. So not worth it. So I definitely think Sammy will just keep the victory march in her back pocket this turn. And anti-air moves up, ready to blast that copter. And these copters move up as well, ready to hit that base, starting a bunch of caps. Starting those 2 caps on the outside. The artillery moves up. Nice. Now it's in base range, and the copter also blocks the medium tank from rotating over here, and just kind of regroups. Also, this artillery moves up. The tank not really doing a good job of covering that anti-air too much, but it does protect the artillery because the anti-air can't like move through the woods fast enough to hit the artillery. Hope that made sense. All right, and there's just a regular tank out here from Sammy. It will get blasted. Just holding on to the victory march. This airport also could get flipped. This victory march. Javier's got to be careful, and the anti-air is in range too. Takes out that infantry on the city and hits the tank with the artillery. This infantry will now get this city. Copter trying to weaken this to help the push and surround this base. This 3 HP trying to weasel in from behind and grab a city, maybe grab the base. Anti-air comes over here to help out. Will we see the airport getting started? No, you don't really have tank support, so this infantry will probably just go back, protect the copter. Okay, anti-air goes on the airport. Absolutely a good move. You could not let that airport fall to a victory march. The medium tank also shifts around here. And another medium tank comes in from Javier. Yeah, it's gonna get hit, but with 10% extra defense and also 20% against indirects, like, this base is going to be really hard to actually, like, knock these medium tanks off of it. You need a medium tank of your own, a neo tank, or just keep being persistent with artillery, I guess, or a bomber. We could see a bomber come out from Sammy if she gets enough. Alright, will we see a victory march this turn? I think this anti-air in the airport is not strong enough. I think the 9 HP and the anti-air might be able to take out that anti-air in the airport. With the extra attack from the super. Oh, actually, no. Okay, shooting that and then blocking in the medium tank with the helicopter. That's a great move. Anti-air way too far away. So this medium tank's just stuck here, and we'll just keep getting repaired and draining funds from Javier. I keep like slurring my speech. A big problem. I'm just getting way too into the game. All right, but will Sammy be able to do anything? Not, still holding on to that victory march. Good job by Javier. That anti-air, as we calculated, is safe from the tank and anti-air attacks. And rotates over here towards the HQ. The victory march, when you're getting close to the HQ, is super dangerous. We got a nice little army right here from red, but blue is winning this. Tank goes down to 5. This artillery also is ready to in a position to shell that. Copter now blocks. Not only does it block, it takes out the tank, allowing this infantry to get the flip, and Javier has struck first. Will get the flip before Sammy does. And Javier also takes out the mech right there, takes out the anti-air, I think that, oh no, that's the capping infantry that was sitting right there, and allowing this tank to go get a nice shot on the mech. And Javier's converting over here. Javier's up 5 cities right now. 5 cities. How often do you see Javier up in cities if against the Sammy? I mean, every single time if I'm playing a Sammy, because I suck at the game, but like, how often do you see like just this in general? Like Javier being up in cities against Sammy by 5. But Sammy, not as Sammy has anything to say about it. We'll see if we see a victory march here. There's the copter. The copter is not safe, and the airport is also not safe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uh-oh. Alright, doing some shots on the medium tank. This copter takes it out. Yeah, this victory march is gonna hurt. Takes out the copter, and there it is, the victory march. First thing, taking out that infantry. Oh, can't quite do it. Got to put the anti-air. Flipping this. All right, that's going to be the least bad flip. Flips that city in the center. Flips the airport. Flips that city. Flips the base. And will Sammy be able to get Javier off of that? We'll see. Goes in. Oh, yeah. Got another tank in the area. Oh, no. Oh no, a slight miscalculation there from Sammy. Needed to have attacked from this square right here. In case the tank survived, then you free up this tank to hit. But with this 1 HP tank, maybe an infantry will be able to finish it off. So this infantry is able to weasel around right here, go ring around the Rosie, hits the tank, and that frees up the city to get capped. Another city got capped somewhere else. Oh, that was down here. And yeah, a pretty good victory march turn, honestly. Flipped the airport, flipped the base, flipped like 3 more cities down here, and secured this one. So great job. And now Sammy's up 7 cities. What a swing. We were just saying how weird it was for Sammy to be down cities. Well, she has turned her fortunes around. Now these infantry are going to pressure over here. Although this one copter is going to get traded by the anti-air. Going to be a problem. Alright, Javier comes in. Bang, takes out the copter. Takes out the infantry and starts a cap over here. And medium tank able to really weaken this anti-air. So even though Sammy did get the airport flip, Javier's blocking it and trying to flip it right back. And now the battle has officially shifted from horizontal lines to vertical lines. Takes out an infantry, artillery, copter, all here to back up. So Sammy might be in a bit of a trouble back here. But Javier is even going to start this. And Javier can make an HQ push. These two forces kind of combine on this HQ. And if Sammy's forces are all stuck over here attacking the base, well, that could be a real problem. Sammy doesn't have movement powers for any vehicles, only foot soldiers. And if the vehicles can't get around here to defend an HQ push, well, that could be an issue. Anti-air goes for the interrupt, and tank goes for a good shot on the anti-air. And Sammy's just shifting back. Maybe we'll build like a bomber or something out of here, just to block the airport from Javier. But Sammy's got 35k in the bank, absolutely rolling in it. Like Mr. Krabs, takes out that infantry, and that kind of defends. No, actually this copter can still go traded by that 6 HP anti-air. But starting this city, which is going to fall, takes out the anti-air. Mech goes in, and we're about to have a big brawl in the middle. And you know what? Big brawls in the middle lead to exciting moments in games. We're about to see that, but not able to interrupt the infantry off the airport. So Javier did a very good job of securing the airport. We have a bomber as well, and this is going to be very scary for Javier. Javier will have 30k in the bank next turn, so you could build a fighter, and those zoom across the field and will one-shot bombers guaranteed. Now you could also build a fighter out of here, but you have to obviously finish the cap and then move off it, protect from any anti-air in the area. There's still this one. So fighter from here just straight off the rip might be a good idea to counter the bomber. Fighters have 9 movement. They zoom across the map. Alright, tank gets taken out, and there's the tower shield. Javier now strikes Sammy as hard as possible. Cannot get the roll with that infantry, but does this. Knocks the infantry down to 1 HP. Now this anti-air goes in. Knocks the copter down to 1 HP. A 6 HP anti-air just obliterates that copter. Don't even need that thing at 10 HP. Joins over here, starts a cap. And getting ready to start some more caps. Tries to surround the bomber. Although I think maybe starting this cap would have been a little bit better. Because the bomber still has a ton of movement. And the bomber doesn't really need to shoot anything over here anyway. Right? So doing this to surround it, I don't think is doing a whole lot. The bomber wants to shift over to the middle. Maybe help an HQ push. But tank gets finished off. Now these other infantry all move up. Copter moves up as well. And will we see a fighter? No, another copter. An anti-air build though. The anti-air is a good bomber counter. They deal like 7 to 8 damage per against bombers, and I think with Javier it's even more. But now this anti-air is about to get traded. Bomber knocks the artillery down to 3. Good shot. Yeah, see, I don't understand this formation. I think you could have started this cap, blocked for it, and then the anti-air is also covering it as well. I think this is yeah, you're trying to go after the airport, but then Sammy could just build something else here. And yeah, the artillery protect against ground units blocking, but I don't know. Could just base skip to build another bomber, or build a fighter here even. Fighter would be good against those copters. I can't tell. You know what? I understand what Blue's going for here. I understand. I just don't know if it's going to work. Only one way to find out. Alright, trying to break open this pipe seam to make the base more easily reinforce the center. Now going in on the middle and boosting some infantry with some copters. And going in, able to do some cleanup crew on some of Javier's weakened infantry. This tank goes back to get healed. We have a copter build, and I don't think this 9 HP copter would be able to do anything. But the one good thing about this is that now Javier can surround the airport, blocking this copter and every other air unit in. But Sammy might be able to break it out with the bomber. So, it's interesting. So, Sammy does a lot of damage for Javier having the power. Able to pick off a lot of these weakened units. Back to Javier. Another power might be online for Javier. Anti-air takes a shot at the pipe seam. Goes in on the copter. Nice roll. Will it get surrounded? This artillery... Oh, can't quite do any damage there. Yep, goes... This artillery goes on the bottom. Surrounds the airport. But the bomber can blast this 9 HP infantry and free it. But then you have to worry about this anti-air coming in. So... might not be a bad play for Javier to kind of just start this pressure and try to force Sammy to react. Medium tank also doing some damage. That tank picking off an anti-air. And this 3 HP goes on the HQ. You always got to protect that HQ against Sammy. But a 3 HP infantry, I mean, that is very weak. Sammy could easily crack that. And if Sammy gets a victory march next turn, hey, 36k away. But it could happen. It could happen. You sack... Yeah, you can't really sack a bomber, but now we have the jet fighter. Q highway to the danger zone. And look at how quick this jet fighter moves. It can go right to this square, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's already in the fray in 2 turns. Even though the airport is on the way on the other side of the map. Hopefully I didn't miscount that, because I kind of flubbed my cursor a little bit, but it could still go all the way to the middle and help out with the fight and take down all of Sammy's copters. And Sammy just regroups. Going in for a shot on the tank. Anti-air able to take it out, and Sammy now starts these 2 cities. Sammy's got a 3 city lead so far at this point, and trying to extend it takes out a weakened unit. Now this 1 HP copter, it's blocking the airport, sure, but this infantry is just going to take it out. So not going to be an issue. Sammy's trying to box this medium tank in by not giving it good targets to shoot at. Traps it in with the mech and the infantry. And this artillery, where was it? I was going to say, oh no, it can't even go farther. But Sammy wants to break this pipe open so it can more easily reinforce. So that's why the artillery didn't move up to get ready to start shooting this medium tank. Also, power was coming in, so the artillery wasn't going to do a whole lot anyway. Okay, takes out the infantry on the HQ. Not getting that victory march this turn, though. So Javier breathes a sigh of relief. And then takes out the copter there. And will start the airport. Okay, so Javier is going to get that airport. I guess I was wrong. And that airport surround maneuver did work, as this airport will be converted. And now it has become an HQ battle, as the HQs are the next targets. After everything has been flipped, this HQ in a very awkward position. Same with this one. You got the anti-air on top of this HQ, and fires at this anti-air, knocking it down to 6. Anti-air is still at 9, so it's still pretty healthy, but you got to be really careful here if you're Javier. Victory march is so close. And I think the bomber in the tank can take out that anti-air. And then it is wraps. But not if this copter has anything to say about it. Knocks that tank all the way down to 2 HP. Everything else just kind of shuffles forward. Artillery also protected by these 2, which is smart. And Javier's HQ pushes slower than Sammy's. And also takes out that mech right there. Javier's HQ pushes slower than Sammy's. It's going to reach the HQ second. But if Javier routes Sammy's army, then it's not even going to matter. Javier routes the army and then just walks onto the HQ. So we'll see what's going to happen. Also the fighter. Look at this thing's movement. That thing can go everywhere, dude. That's like the transcontinental railroad of Advance Wars, man. I mean, that thing is just zipping across the map. But it is now back to Sammy. Will Sammy be able to take out this 9 HP anti-air with the bomber and knocks it down to 3, allowing this tank to move over, and the HQ is cleared. Now you just got to get a little more charge. Sacrifices a tank. Needs 1800 charge. 1800 charge. That's nothing. Mech sacrificed itself to the copter, and there's the victory march. And we started the video talking about the Gigachad moves in Advance Wars, and we said that one of the Gigachad moves is to pick Javier on a contested comm tower map. But a move that is even more Gigachad than that, Sammy Victory March HQ cap with the 1 HP infantry. And the game is over. Sammy has emerged victorious and shows Javier that him and his mustache do not belong in the waifu conversation with Sammy. What a crazy, amazing game. And dang, another long video. I need to like yap less. I'm like a Lagatua, but without a brain. Yeah, what a wild game. Wow, that was so much fun to watch. And so wild, so back and forth. And it was interesting, because I thought the players played pretty reasonably well. I mean, there was some stuff I was like, oh, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, but it was good. It was a solid game. That's what you like to see. You like to see two strong players going at it, making good moves. Okay, so let's go to army value here, and just look at all of these graphs. The total funds, Sammy kind of pulled away at the end, but like, look, like it was all close. Income, I mean, Sammy had the income lead early, and then Javier got that huge lead, and then Sammy got it back after that victory march. Unit count, it's just neck and neck the whole way, basically, back and forth, back and forth. Army value, back and forth again. Unit HP, Javier actually had the advantage after that first tower shield there. And let's look at damage dealt. Pretty even. It looks like Javier did a good job of, I think, dealing more damage overall, but that victory march turn was huge for Sammy, and then obviously the last victory march turn that sealed the game. But yeah, what an amazing close game, and that was really good. And I hope you enjoyed watching that game as much as I enjoyed commentating on it, and I will see you in the next one.